welcome to episode 21 of the Jenn Sheelen podcast. I am Jenn of jennsheelen.com, and this is my co-host, Doug the dog. You ready to get started, buddy? What do you think? Yeah? You want a cookie? You gotta work for it. All right. High five. High five. Good boy. There you go. Okay, so today is Wednesday, November 23rd of 2016, and tomorrow is Thanksgiving in the U.S. That is my favorite holiday, by the way. It is all my favorite yummy comfort foods, and I kind of can't wait to stuff my face. So that'll be coming tomorrow. You can find me on various forms of social media. I am on Ravelry, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Tumblr. And I have a Ravelry group as well. So come on over and join me to chit chat in there. And if you like this podcast, hit the subscribe button below. Now that I've gotten all of that out of the way, let's move on to it. Okay, so the podcast that I listened to, yes, I know my note. The podcast that I listened to today while getting ready, oh my goodness, was the Naughty Nitwits podcast. Oh my goodness. So that's with Michelle and Leslie, and the two of them are so funny. The last episode, I think it's episode, I'm going to say 38, not sure off the top of my head, was so funny. They were reading out of this book. It's like, would you rather do this or this? And one had to do with a mouse, and then she actually one of them knit a mouse ornament. It was just so funny. So I definitely would check out their podcast. The two of them crack me up. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. Definitely check out that podcast. Right, buddy? What are you doing? You turning your back to the camera? That's not polite. Not polite. Goodness. I mean goodness. Okay. So today is going to be mainly about my selfish knitting, you guys. Yeah. It's going to be about knitting. It's going to be about drinking. Yeah. And it's going to be about what I'm styling. That's about it. And maybe a little about what I've been up to. But usually I'm a pretty monogamous knitter. And I think I focus on like maybe 2, maybe 3 projects tops. And I've kind of strayed away from that. A little bit. Kind of a knitting tramp. Yeah. I'm working on 11 projects right now. 11. I had to cast on all of them. I needed some variety. It seems so naughty to say that. I needed some variety. I feel like I should turn the lights down and all that to talk like this. It's like, ooh, this naughty knitting tramp. So, hey, you done? Okay. Cover your ears, but Mama's talking naughty. Anyway, I really just felt like I needed to cast on all of the things. I was kind of feeling like, I don't want to say I was in a rut, but I really felt like I was looking at all these other patterns that I really wanted to work on, and I'm like, why not cast them on? Even if I just get a few rows in, why not? Get them in the project bags and get on going. So I did. And I posted a picture on Instagram, but if you did not see it, I will try to put it here. So that you can see. 11. I think it was only 10 when I posted that picture, not including my hand-spun blanket and a pair of socks that I know is floating up in my sock yarn bin. I cast on all the things, and I think I actually ran out of project bags to put them in. I might have one floating around here somewhere, but I've used up all my project bags with how many projects I've cast on. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's my naughty knitting. Right, buddy? It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. Okay. Selfish knitting. Oh, you guys. I have one faux. One faux. And that is the Doug the Dog socks that I was talking about in probably my last few episodes. I have finally finished them for my Frank Sheelen. Pair of socks right there. There we go. And they're too big for my sock blockers. I tried blocking them on there, but it did the job. It did the trick. And I think they're fun. And he likes them a lot too. He likes the colors in them. And it's funny. So when I met my Frank Sheelen, little story going back a little bit, he was wearing this pair of Doc Marten boots that were so, like, I don't want to call them outrageous, but they definitely stand out. Frank loves to wear shoes that stand out. That's very him. And these boots were like red and orange and yellow, and They were just these bright boots, and if I can, I will put a picture of those boots here. I think I have one. Hopefully that worked. And this sock yarn kind of reminded me of those boots. I know these are more yellow than they were the red, but they really just reminded me of that. So, and those boots have finally fallen apart. I don't even know, I think he finally threw them out, but they finally wore through. So, in memory of his fancy boots, which I met him in, these are for him. His little socks. Yep. I'm calling him his birthday socks too. Why not? Yeah, so that's my one faux, because how am I going to finish anything while I'm working on all these projects, right? I am still working on my boxy sweater. I won't pull it out since I talked about it in the last episode and have gotten no further in my fancy little Stitch by Jess Lou bag. And these, you guys, these I talked about in the last episode, but I had only gotten this far in. You guys, I have a hoe. Which sounds mighty inappropriate when I'm calling myself a knitting tramp. That was so bad. Not even on purpose. Not even on purpose. Here we go. My nomadic yarns. BERTIE Bots, every flavor beans, socks. Look at these things. I mean, really. Look at how that green stands out. Wow. I didn't realize that until I put them on camera. But aren't those fun? I mean, really. I had to immediately cast on the second sock because I can't wait to wear these. I can't wait to wear them. Ugh. Yes. So that's my hoe. All right, careful. Next up, I think I mentioned these too, but I don't remember for sure. I have, oh no I didn't. I had some leftover yarn from the little garment I'm wearing right here. We'll get to that in a bit. I had some leftover yarn, and it's the Blue Moon Socks at Rock yarn, and I don't remember the colorway, and of course I lost the tag. However, I had plenty of yarn to make a pair of socks, so I cast them on. Because why not? Don't put it back in my sock bin because it'll get forgotten, and it was too much to put towards my Cozy Memories blanket. I'm like, that could totally be a pair of socks. I know I have enough. Boom. Look at these. Like, for reals. Look at these. See how they're striping? I mean, how fun is that? Like, is that showing better? Oh, there we go. That's a ticket right there. Look at how they're kind of striping. Right? I'm like, I am so glad I cast these on as a pair of socks. And this yarn is so squishy. It's so squishy. Like, I can't wait to put it on my feet. I'm pretty excited for that. And I figured, okay, I'm doing afterthought heels. Of course, it's what I do. And I won't do the heel on this one, the first sock, yet. I'm going to go without heels, and I'm going to cast on the second sock and go all the way through. Now, if I run out of yarn, I can always rip back the toe of this one and put 2 different color toes, whatever. I have green left over from this lovely garment as well. So I could use that for heels and toes if necessary. Hoping it would only be for the heels, but if I have to, I can put it on the toes too. No big deal, right? I'd rather just rip back the toe on this and not the heel and the toe and have to fix both. It makes sense. Yeah, so that's happening. And these I haven't really been able to put down either. I keep picking them up and they're like the perfect project to pick up. I've talked about this before too. Perfect project to pick up when you're talking to people and just hanging out and really can't focus. And I think I wowed some of our friends. So we did a fire pit on this past Friday. And those were the socks I was working on because they're a lighter color and I don't really need a lot of light to be able to work on them. I had a neck light too, just in case I needed it, but I didn't. And I'm just talking and I'm like, la, 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 and I'm knitting, and people are like, you're not even looking at it. I'm like, I know, it's amazing, right? That is one of my tricks that I absolutely love for my non-knitter friends to see. They think it's amazing that I can knit on these socks and I'm not even looking. So, yeah. I like showing off with that just a little bit. I'm okay with that. I'll admit it. It's kind of fun. Okay. What is next up on my list? I better check since there's so many. Oh, all right. So, Colleen, you're watching this, and I would ask for you to fast forward like 3 minutes, but I know you're going to look anyway. And even though I talked to you today and didn't mention this, I'm still going to show it off because you knew it was coming. It's just I haven't had time to work on it, and now I finally cast it on, and I'm working on it. way long ago, I made you a pair of Nature's Magic mitts in a yarn colorway that I bought for you that I knew was very your color. And it's Frolicking Feet in Done Roving, and I believe the colorway is Copper Penny. Where'd they go? Oh, there they are. I am making you the matching cowl. It's coming, finally. I'm making you the matching cowl. And let's show this pretty thing off here. Hopefully it'll show. Look at how pretty that is. I mean, really. And it's a little bit more subtle since the yarn has a lot going on. But seriously, it's so pretty. And it'll totally match the mitts. Look at that. A knitter with matching knit items? Oh, that never happens. I know. And look at what I'm doing. I'm actually doing this on 2 circs. I started doing this on 40's Magic Loop, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, what? Why am I doing that to myself? I'm like, it works, but it's just not as good. I'll just put it that way. It's just better to do it on 2 circs. And you know me, I won't use double pointed needles anymore. I just don't like to. No. And I won't do this one, like I don't have 16s or anything in my size 2 needles, so I kind of had to make a decision. And I have plenty of size 2s with long cords, so I said, hell with it. I'm gonna do it on 2 circs. And I'm getting used to doing that again. I really haven't knit with 2 circs in a really long time. I'm a Magic Loop girl, like through and through. And I decided, I'm gonna go for it. So I did. 2 circs, thank you very much. And I'm pretty sure one of these needles is Knitter's Pride and the other is a Knit Picks Harmony Wood. I like both. I'm actually surprising myself. I kind of think I like the Knitter's Pride better, and before I remember liking the Knit Picks better. They're both great. They're what I'm used to, and that's what I prefer to knit with, but I'm noticing that the Knitter's Pride is a little more slippery, and the Knit Picks, it has a little bit more grab. And I'm like, I used to like having a little bit more grab in my needles, and now I like them to be a little bit more slippery. Being so inappropriate, Jenn Sheelen. Mind out of the gutter. Stop it. Anyway, I've noticed that with these needles. So it's kind of interesting to work with both with one project. It was a really good comparison. Why not? All right, Colin, you can come back now, even though I know you just watched the entire thing. All right, what do I have next? Oh, I have another Nature's Magic cowl. Now, this one has a story. I have a hard time saying no. Really, I do. I have a hard time saying no. But in this case, I'm really glad I said yes and didn't say no. My neighbor, Mary, also known as the Cookie Lady to Doug, is 91. And I was at a local craft fair, and she was there, and she was wearing a Nature's Magic cowl that I made for her. Well, one of her friends saw it and was there, and she was there and saw it and loved it. So they happened to see me walking by, called me over, Jennifer, come here. And I'm like, what's up? And the friend is like, I really love that. I would love to buy one. Size 2 needles, fingering weight yarn, cowl. Now, does it take a humongous amount of time? No, but it's definitely slower than a cowl of that size in a thicker yarn would be. I'm like, okay, this is when I had already cast on all of my projects, or at least had them in the works. So I'm like, crap. Now, meanwhile, I'm looking at this poor woman, and she's elderly, and she has a bunch of scarring all over her face and all over her neck, and I found out later she's been battled cancer and has had many, many surgeries. And I'm like, how do I say no? And she's like, I need something warm for my neck, you know, and it's because she has a hard time. And I'm like, of course I'm going to say yes. And she was insistent that she was going to pay me. And I'm like, I can't charge her what I would normally charge for something that takes that amount of time. So I was like, $15. Boom. That's it. I was like, I knew she was going to argue with me, like that I couldn't give it to her for free as a gift. She insisted, so I said that, and my friend looked at me like, like, are you nuts? I couldn't help it. So I wound up saying okay to that, and it gave me really warm fuzzies to say yes. So that was my good Christmas thing. Getting into the Christmas spirit and just the spirit of passing on the love, I decided to go ahead and do that. So I have a cowl coming her way. And I found this yummy, yummy yarn. She was like, I love blues and purples and all that. So I said, all right, I have some old string theory in my sock yarn bin in my stash that has been waiting for just the right project. And this was it. Look at this yarn. I'm getting a little bit of a shadow. Hopefully it's coming up. Look at how pretty it is. Oh, I can't even. And I started it, of course. I only have the band done. But, ooh, look at that. See, the design shows a little bit more on this yarn because it's a little bit, it's not solid, but it doesn't have as much going on. So, hopefully that's shown there. Ta-da! And this yarn, it's an old string theory. This is before there was string theory and Seven Sisters yarn. It is so, it's like butter. It's like, oh my goodness, I love knitting it. It's a pleasure. So that was a nice surprise too. I'm like, ooh, I said yes, and they get to work with yummy yarn. See? Reward right there. So that in the works. Next up, okay. I decided I wanted to knit some asymmetrical shawls. After that shawl that Laura knit out of my yarn and sent me, and I think it's the Close to You shawl, I'm like, ooh, I really like how this fits. I really like how I wear this. This is fun. I need to knit some of those. And of course I couldn't just pick one, and I showed you guys yarn in the last episode that I wanted to make shawls out of. I found them. I am knitting Sailing, and this is by Meg Gadsby, and I believe it is a $6 pattern on Ravelry, and I love it. Oh my goodness, and she has so many pretty patterns too. I was trolling them after I had found this one. And it's a really simple asymmetrical shawl pattern, and I really, really love knitting it. I've had to make myself put this down so I can give some love and attention to my other projects. But I'm knitting this out of the Glen yarn from Bohemia Fibers. In honor of Glen. Tear. I'm knitting this. Look at how pretty that is. And see how it's broken up with some stockinette, and it's mostly garter with a breakup of stockinette, we'll put it that way. And it's very subtle with this yarn, and oh my goodness, I love it. I love it. It makes me very happy to knit. I haven't gotten too far again because I've had to make myself put it down, but I absolutely love knitting on it. It's super pretty. And I'm knitting my Glen yarn in honor of Glen. Okay, I'll stop. The other shawl that I'm knitting is out of that Query Fibers yarn, that sparkly gold yarn, or sparkly yarn, sparkly with gold, never mind, you'll see in a second. Red yarn with gold sparkles, ha, I got it. It's so pretty, and the colorway is Oxblood. Oh my goodness, and the shawl I am knitting is called NURMILINTU, and I just love to say NURMILINTU. There's actually, like, when I first saw the pattern, I'm like, how do I pronounce that? And there's actually a little button there where it'll help you pronounce the name of the pattern. I thought that was super cool. Did not know that was an option on Ravelry until I found this pattern. Crap. Don't look. So yeah, I'm knitting NURMILINTU, and that is a free pattern on Ravelry, and that is by HEIDI ALANDER. Hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. And super fun. Another pattern that I'm absolutely stinking in love with knitting. Love it. Tons of garter, which I think is the thing, all the rage right now is everybody's knitting garter. Look at this yarn. Oh my god. There's the big garter section, and it's broken up with pretty little lace sections, like so. Right there, stop covering my face. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Very subtle, very simple. Love it. Totally want to wear this for Christmas. Gonna bang out this shawl by then. I am determined. So I've tried to put a little bit more time into this one than the other shawl because, again, I want to wear it for Christmas. It's gonna happen. That is my goal. I usually don't set too many knitting goals for myself because I don't want the pressure. So yeah, I'm thinking, I mean, for my selfish knitting especially, for my, business knitting and stuff like that, that's a different story. But for my personal selfish knitting, I don't like to do that. I'm like, just go with it. It's supposed to be, oh, it's my treat for doing all the other stuff. It's my selfish knitting. So don't set any rules or anything like that. I rarely have a list of goals or anything like that for my selfish knitting for that exact reason. It stresses me out and I don't want to do that. So pretty, right? And all these fun bags. I mean, really, I didn't show up my bag on this one. So this one's really fitting. This is a bag from my friend Michelle, and she's also a Walking Dead fan, huge Walking Dead fan, so it's fitting that it's in this bag. And Christmas is coming. She made this bag. How cute is that? Stashing through the snow, get it? You know I love a good pun. Super cute bag. Absolutely love it. Very fun. Fitting, again, that it's in this bag for her. Yeah. And then what do I have next? I know I have more. I have more. I know. I can't stop. Oh, this is a good one. Another one very fitting for this episode. The pattern is called 2x2 Ribbed for His Pleasure. I am so inappropriate this episode. Jenn Sheelen, bad. It's from Frank Sheelen. He's a bad influence, in a good way. Anywho, I got this yarn from Bohemia Fibers for my brother-in-law. I believe it was last year. And it's similar to the yarn that I got in memory of our golden retrievers who had passed away. And then for Doug, is she takes a picture of the pet and dyes the yarn in their colors. So I did it for their two bulldogs, Harley and Teddy Bear. And I finally started that hat for him. And it's so simple. So what I actually did is I'm cheating. Well, I'm not cheating. I am doing the 2x2 pattern, but I looked at the, I think it's the, oh no, Scraptastic hat, I think is what it is. And I looked at the measurements in that pattern, because this one kind of just says go until you, desired length. And I'm like, okay, well, I have a big head, and I don't know if his head's small, like, how far do I go? I don't know. Which has been my dilemma with doing patterns for hats too, is I'm like, I have a big noggin, so I definitely have to have some test knitters try it out to make sure it fits their head too. But my hats have been a little bit different. And he definitely wants a beanie style. He doesn't want slouch. So I looked at the Scraptastic pattern, and it gives measurements for small, medium, and large. So I wound up I split the difference, went for the medium, and I'm going to do that. And I think it goes to 5¼ inches before you do the decreases. So I'm going to go for that, try that, do the decreases from the 2x2 hat, and voila, mix them together. And I will have Frank Sheelen try it on and see if it fits him. If it fits him, it should fit his brother. Sold. Done. So that is how I'm tackling this hat. And another one that I'm doing on 2 circs. Crazy town. All of these patterns, all of a sudden, I'm like all about 2 circs. I won't do that for socks. For me, it's a little bit more fumbly for socks. I love me some magic loop for socks. But I think for like these fingering weight hats and cowls and whatnot, I'm digging the 2 circs. It's kind of a thing lately. Yeah. Let me show that again. Why not? Look at that. How fun is that? This I love working on too. It's another great mindless knit because it's knit 2, purl 2. Like you just kind of keep going. So I'm like, beautiful. Easy to pick up. Love it. Very cool. And look at a little new project bag. This one was from Jenn LASSONDE of the Down Cellar Studio podcast. And this was, I believe, I want to say it's a Christmas gift either from last year or the year before. It had to have been the year before, I think. And she made this for our knitting group. Isn't that pretty? So fun. Love it. And I think the inside's the same. Oh, nope, the inside is all the striped. Fun is that. And it's a perfect size. And see, I'm really getting into the Christmas spirit here because I want to give this to my brother-in-law for Christmas. And I'm fairly certain he doesn't watch the podcast, so he won't know it's coming. If he does, whoops. Sorry, Damon. I have 2 more to talk about. This next one I'm super excited about. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I got this yarn, and this is from Legacy Knits. And this was from their Hocus Pocus colorway. And this was Mary Sanderson. She did one, or they did one for all of the sisters, which I thought was super cool. So this was Mary Sanderson. Very, very pretty, and it's sparkly. I think they call it their Snazzy Toes line. And I believe this has, is that gold or silver sparkle? Oh, silver sparkles in this one. I can't actually tell. It's looking silvery in here. I'm going to go with that. The light is not allowing me to really tell. But anywho, I am knitting my first pair of Hermione's Everyday Socks, which everybody has been talking about. Everybody's been knitting all the Hermione's Everyday Socks. I'm like, man. And I think it was Sunshine and Bubblegum. Was it you that is knitting a pair that I'm absolutely in love with? Fairly certain it was you. Enabler. I blame you. Thank you. I cast on a pair of them, and I'm like, how pretty is this pattern in this yarn, right? Like, I think that's what was making me a little nervous with it, is I'm like, I definitely didn't want to do this pattern with self-striping socks, and I'm like, those have kind of been my jam. So I'm like, I need a good yarn to knit that pattern. Oh! And then I remembered this one, which I didn't even put, this never even made it to my stash. It has stayed out on purpose because I totally wanted to knit it right away. And look at that. Perfect. Worked out. Show it again. How pretty. Oops, I'm attached. Look how pretty that is. Super fun. Yeah. Now what I'm going to do with this pattern is I'm not going to do a regular heel because I don't want to. I am going to do an afterthought heel with this. What? I know. Because I feel like it. That's what's going to happen right here. And I know we could do it. It should be a simple, easy thing to do. So, of course, now that I said that, I'm going to go to do it and be like, I don't know what to do. It should be pretty easy. And I will let you guys know how that goes, hopefully, in my next episode. Should be fine. Deep breath. Should be great. One can hope. Now I have one more. And this one, it's been a really long time since I pulled this project out. And this bag is so funny. Look at how cute that is. No outfit is ever complete without dog hair. So true. Applies to my knitting as well. I'm pretty sure all of my knitting has at least a little bit of dog hair in it. I have to be so careful, and I am very careful with dyeing and all of that, where I have a very clean dog-free zone. So, I have my Cozy Memories blanket. Look at this thing! And it hasn't gotten too much bigger since the last time I showed it, but it actually, yeah, I guess it has. I've done, you know, some decent work on this thing. And I'm trying not to overthink it, and I was doing that to myself, and again, stressing myself out. I'm like, I don't care what color goes next. Really? I mean, I'm trying not to put like 2 yellows next to each other or whatever, and maybe thinking about it a little bit like that, but I'm trying not to overthink it, where I'm like, okay, planning it out, which is very unlike me. I'm so much a planner in my knitting that it's a little hard to let go and just pick a ball out of the bag. That's why I have such a huge bag. All of my scrap yarn is in here. And just kind of go bing, and just put that on the blanket. Doing that to a point. Again, if it's kind of like 2 dark blues next to each other or whatever, I'll hold that aside and pick a different skein or different bit of scrap yarn. But for the most part, I'm really just trying to let it go. Yeah. Look at how pretty that is. And it's nice now because it's kind of getting big enough where I put it on my lap. It keeps my lap a little toasty. I love that. Yeah, so this is kind of like my guilty pleasure here. Where I work on this blanket when I need a little break from all the other things. And I'm like, I just want to put on a square. Why not? And I may do that after I film. Because I can. That is all of my selfish knitting. It's a lot, I know. Yeah, almost half an hour's worth of talking of all my selfish knitting. Yeah, I'm not even ashamed. I once was a monogamous knitter, but no longer. Now I can get on to flip the page here, and I know what it's going to be. Beverage of choice! Haha! I'm going to surprise you guys today. I don't have beer. As you can see behind me, boop, I have a bottle of wine. I've decided to have some wine. It has been super cold here. Super cold. All of a sudden it went from, oh, it's not so bad out to, oh my god, I'm freezing! The wind has been insane up here in New England. Oh my goodness. So you go outside and your face would freeze. And so I get home and the last thing I would want is cold beer. So I'm like, I'm gonna pour myself a glass of wine. I'm gonna go for it. So what I'm drinking and what I've discovered I really like, and I've kind of been a Merlot girl lately. That's kind of been what I've been into. If I go for like an Italian wine, I go for like a Valpolicella, or if I can want to splurge, an Amarone. Oh, which are so good. But I've been sticking with some Merlots. And I found this one I kind of dig, and it's not that expensive. It's like, you know, I'm going to say it's like a $15 bottle of wine, which is like, you know, above that where it's not like stupid expensive, but it's like a little bit of a notch up. And I dig it. So it's JLore. And here you go. I dig it. I really like it a lot. So, cheers! It's yummy. I like it. Boop. Okay. Now, I'm actually afraid to do this one next because of how red my neck is. Oh my god. I'm so embarrassed by how red this is this time. It's been really long. But it is. I think it's just me heating up. It's gotta be. It's the wool and my neck, and I'm like, yeah, what I'm styling. Now, I've hinted towards it. This is finally my Riley Rose shawl by Jenn LASSONDE. And this pattern, I have to talk about this pattern, was very outside of how I normally knit. when you knit this, the fun part about it is that you're doing different patterns as you go. And it's fun to like, you can't wait to get to the next pattern in it. But the different thing about it is it doesn't have any rhyme or reason. There's no like symmetry. There's no, hey, you did garter on this side, you're gonna have garter on the same exact place on the other side. She didn't plan it that way, which is very not how I normally knit. So I'm knitting it and I'm like, and then I go to look at it and my head would want to go because it didn't have any, I'm like, it doesn't have any symmetry. But that's the fun part about it, and that's what I think is really cool, and I have to give her props for that. It's just going with it, with her knitting, and just saying, I'm gonna do this next. Why not? And you know, planning out the shawl that way. And I mean, you still have to do the math and everything to make the stitches work and whatnot. But it was kind of like, I can almost picture her writing it and going, I feel like doing some garter now. I'm gonna do that next. And I feel like doing a little slip stitch now, and I'm gonna do that. Like, it was very cool how she, how she did that. And it really was outside of my comfort zone of knitting. So I am very proud of me for knitting it, and I really love the shawl. Like, I put it on, I'm like, oh, and it's a really good size. What I like about it is that like my one skein ones tend to like to slide off, but I do pin them so that that doesn't happen, but they're that particular size where you really can't, I mean, you can wear it without a pin, but I usually have to if I really want it to stay and I don't want to have to fumble with it. This one isn't like ginormous either. Like, I have my Melanie Berg one, which I think is Ocean Bound, which I love, but it's super huge. So I'm like, this one is kind of like a happy medium. It's like right in between where it's just the right size where I can wear it like this and it's not, like, I don't feel like it's too big. And I really dig it. And I would take it off, which I actually will in a moment, but I did wind up pinning this one because I don't know if it's gonna show. See my little sheep there? Isn't that so cute? It's a really big shawl pin, and I rarely get the chance to wear it because I usually wear one skein shawls. Well, this one is big enough where I can pin it underneath and it stays for me, and it's a little sheep. I'll take that off. And this is by a shop on Etsy, and hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. It's Chat Noir 77. I love her stuff. I've bought earrings from her, I've bought necklaces from her. Colleen, you were looking for where I got you that tree necklace. It was from Chat Noir 77 on Etsy. And everything I talk about in here too, I will put in my show notes on my website so that you can find them. And you can find Chat Noir if you are interested. Look at this little sheep. And he's so cute. And she does like mini earrings like this with these shapes and all that. I think I have a pair of reindeer, which I know will make it on my podcast at some point. And my little pin. Super cute, right? All right, now I'm gonna take my shawl off and my neck's gonna be beet red. Please try to ignore it. Ooh, holy mackerel. Wow, it's really red. Man, my whole neck, look at how much I heat up. It's crazy. This is why I don't play poker. No, because all my emotions go into my neck. For you newbies who haven't seen this before, I get a little excited and worked up and maybe a little nervous still when I go to podcasts, so it all shows in my neck. And when I wear woolly goods around my neck, it really heats it up and makes it beet red. I digress. Let me show off this pretty shawl. Look at that! Oh my goodness. Look at how fun that is. And I wasn't originally sure I liked like how the blips of the blue moon going through, if I liked that, but I kind of dig it. It's just fun. And again, it's very outside of how I normally knit. It's really not like how I would normally do that. Like, I probably would have pulled that blue moon out and done a different color and done solid, but I'm like, don't you do that. You go with it. You go with it, Jenn Sheelen. And I did, and I'm happy with it. So I really like it. And I'm gonna go cover my neck up again because it's beet red. Let's just cover that, there we go. And I love how I can just kind of, see, I can just throw that on. Love it, love it. It's just the right size. So it really makes me want to make more of these too, along with some more of the asymmetrical. And of course, the two shawls I'm working on right now are single skein, but what I noticed with the asymmetrical ones is they stay on a little bit easier, or a little bit better. And I don't have to pin those if I don't want to. Nice little tip right there. That's right. I'm gonna put a little shawl pin on. See, I love this. Like, just in case, it's like my little safety net, and I kind of like knowing that my little sheep is there. I had to figure out how to pin this thing. I could not for the life of me figure out how to do it. I figured out I was doing it wrong. What you do, for all those who were like me, who were shawl pin challenged, is I was going in through here, like through the outside, and that's not right. You actually go in on this particular one, right there, go all the way through the back side there too, right? and then come up again through the body, and boom, it'll stay on, right? I was totally doing it wrong because I'm so used to my butterfly pin where you go through the outside of the body and back in. So it was a little bit different. Actually, I may be even doing that one wrong. Go figure, I just thought of that. Maybe I am. But anywho, little tip and trick for your shawl pins if you were struggling with them just like I was. Cover that. Here we go. I'm just gonna film the rest of the episode like that. Anywho, let's move on to it. I am going to, so I've been doing a lot of knit reading, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out the books in my show notes because I talked about them all last week. So the ones that I finished reading, I will reference in my show notes, and I will talk about the new ones that I'm knit reading right now. The new ones, oh my goodness. So actually, no, I don't know if I did talk about these in the last episode. I read these really quick. Oh, hell with it, I'll just tell you what they were. This is where it ends, and I cannot even pronounce the author's name, so I won't even try, so I will put it at the bottom of the screen for you to see. That was a really good book, and I didn't see that coming. And it's a little disturbing. It's a school shooting book, so if you really don't want it, don't read that book if you don't want to read something like that. It is disturbing, but it was a really good book. So I was I'm glad I read it, but it was definitely one that, oof, it tugs at your heartstrings. How can it not, right? The other ones I read were The Girls by Emma Cline. Now, I had heard good things about the book. I didn't love it. I mean, it was okay, but I didn't love it. And I thought, like I'd heard a lot of hype about it that was really good, and it just didn't do it for me. But don't go necessarily based on my advice. It could totally work for you. But for me, it just really didn't do it as much. I expected, I think, a little bit more when I started reading it. And I almost stopped reading it. I was like, I'm not getting anywhere with it, but I'm kind of committed, and I'm going to give it a chance. And I did, and it got a little better, but it didn't do it for me. No. The other one I read were We Were Liars, and that was by E. Lockhart. And that was kind of another one where I was into it when I first started reading it. It wasn't like, holy mackerel, great, but it was good. And it did keep me engaged. It was a little different, but it did keep me kind of wanting to know what was going on with it. So I did like finishing it. I'm glad I read that one too. What else did I read? Oh, now what I'm knit reading. I am reading Lost Girls, and this is by Robert Kolker, and this one's good. This one I really, really, really like. It's really good. It's about these murders of these 4 ladies of the street. Again, what am I doing with everything with this episode that's so inappropriate? But it's actually really, really good. So it's telling like their story, and it's coming from their families, and it's a really interesting read. So I highly recommend that one. And the other one is another by James Patterson, the third in the Murder Club series, or Women's Murder Club series, is Third Degree. This one, oh my goodness, it's even maybe a little teary, and it's really good. I think it's like the best probably out of the 3 so far that I've read. And that one I'm actually listening to. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the series. It's really, really good. If it makes you have an emotional response like that, you know it's a good book. Dougie, my goodness, I don't know if you guys if that's picking that up, but his tummy is making all kinds of noise. What did you get into? My goodness. All right, now for the fun part. Like the whole episode hasn't been fun, right? All right, Jen, stop tooting your own horn. What's up with all the things? I have been designing, as I've been talking about in my past few episodes, and I have finished. So, my New Horizons mitten and New Horizons hat pattern are in test mode. Yay! So that should be done in the not too distant future, and I will get my friend Sheelen to help me with some pattern photos, and I can get those patterns released for you guys. Super excited. So I will show you them. I was actually going to wear the set for the episode, but just by wearing the shawl you can see what's happening to me. I probably would have melted into a puddle if I wore the set for the whole episode. That wasn't going to fly. But I will go ahead and save this for last. Put on my cute hat. Look at this hat. Look how fun this is. Oh my goodness. Now at first I looked at it dead on and I was like, okay, I like this, but I felt a little weird. And then I looked at it from the back. I took a picture in the back of my head, if you follow me on Instagram, and saw like the pom-pom in the back and that slouch, and I was like, oh, I love it. And this was out of Knit Picks Capra, so it's got that little bit of cashmere, and after blocking, it is super, super soft and super warm. I wore it the other day when it was really, really windy. It's stupid cold and windy. to run down to the post office, and this kept my ears and my head super toasty. Highly recommend that yarn. If you want something a little bit more affordable and with a bit of cashmere, it's yummy. Now, do I put on all the layers? Why not? I'm already red. Go for it, Jen. So this is the infinity scarf. This is the original pattern that I put out. Oops, upside down. Don't do that. Oh, Dougie, your tummy, man. There they are. There's the little birdies. My New Horizons infinity scarf. We'll put that on. Or Dougie, you want to wear that for Mama? Why don't you up? Why don't you up? Come on. You need to model for me, buddy. Sit. No, how about over here? Not in front of Mama. All right, we'll just do this. We'll make it work. There you go, my love. Oh, you're so handsome. Well, thank you. There we go. All right, so Dougie's gonna wear that. And then the mittens. I can't wait for like a snowy day to wear this whole set. I am super excited for that. Look at that. Look at, ta-da! Love it. Super cute. I like don't want to take this hat off. Well, I kind of do right now because I'm a little warm. But usually when it's cold out, I don't want to take it off. I love how this hat came out. I'm so happy I went like slouchy and with that brim, with that fun like cable pattern right there, just like here and on the infinity scarf too. So everything ties together. And again, a knitter with a matching set of things, that is almost unheard of, right? I knit 3 items and when I go out, I'm gonna match. Usually I wear a hat that's like purple and mittens that are like green, and I mean they go together but they don't match. These all match. That's right. Whew. Oh my god, I'm dying. Are you warm too? Yeah? What do you think? I think that's it for this episode. I am done. And what do you think, Dougie? Oh my goodness, his tummy is making all this noise. Hopefully that's not picking up on screen. We are gonna say goodbye. Right, Douglas? What do you think? Nobody's gonna see your high five because you're sitting backwards. But we're gonna go for it anyway. High five. High five. There we go. What a good boy. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today and for looking at all my naughty knitting for this knitting trap right here. I don't think I'm going back. I think I'm gonna stay this way. I was a monogamous knitter, but no longer. Oh god, dog butt. Anyway, you guys, thank you again for joining us, and I will see you soon. Happy knitting. Bye, guys.